welcome back to Spike Coffee and Sarcasm. I am Van.
And I'm Chris.
And we are doing episode 4.
How exciting. This is a good thing.
I'm just glad that, man, that we're keeping this going. Anyway, we don't need to get into all that.
Right?
I'm just excited. We're both excited. And I think last episode we decided we were going to talk about our just small, itty-bitty little obsession with a boy band called New Kids on the Block.
Yeah,
it's not just a small obsession.
Just small,
Nothing big. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with it. My checkbook and my husband, on the other hand, disagree for some reason. But yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joey McIntyre.
My ex-husband and my pocketbook yell at me. My ex-husband doesn't, because he doesn't really matter anymore. But my pocketbook still likes to yell at me. So I still do spend quite a bit of money. But it looks like this year is probably going to be a little bit more tame than any other year, because the only thing they're doing is the cruise. And I, unfortunately, don't have a big enough pocketbook to do that. So...
yes, and
that won't be happening.
Being that you and I were both fortunate, even though it wasn't together, that we each got to do a cruise, which kind of gives you a little window into how small our obsession is.
Who takes a cruise with 5 guys and 2,000 other women? I mean,
this girl does.
Not that big of a deal.
Chris takes a cruise with that. Yes, I do that.
Yeah,
but I've only done it. I've done it once. You've done it once. And even though this will be the 10th year that they do that, I think I'm okay with, I mean, as much as I would love to get back in touch with our friends, and truthfully, hanging out with the girls, that is a big deal. But, you know, the new kids are the bonus. And I really, truly do believe that. All kidding aside, I do believe that. I like the girl time. But, man, watching those 40-year-old men dance and shake it, and, it should be illegal for them to look that good.
There is nothing wrong with a little Donnie taking his shirt off, Jordan taking his shirt off, Joey taking his shirt off, and his pants, because we all know what's in there. And, there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm sure that there are people listening that think, New Kids on the Block. Because how many times do we get that look?
Every single time.
New Kids on the Block. They're like, New Kids on the Block? What are you talking about?
Right? Exactly. Okay.
It's more like old guys on the block is what I always hear.
That's what I always hear too. Okay, so in the spirit of talking about these guys, when... you know, you and I, when we were growing up, of course, we loved them when we were kids. When we were in high school, they got us through the good times. They got us through the bad times. But I want to know...
got us on the front of the newspaper?
Yes, on the front of the Gazette. Yes, it did. But what I want to know is, when you very first heard the news that they were going to be reuniting, what was your first thought? I mean, what was the very first thought that you had in your head when you knew it was real? I mean, that you've heard it 100 times, this group might be getting back together. But when you knew it was real, what went through your mind?
Well, I can tell you, I know exactly where you and I were, because we were together when we found out that they were going to reunite. We were in Vegas.
Yep.
Because we took a trip to Vegas together. And I don't remember how we heard it, but I'm sure it was on social media somewhere.
Yep.
And I think my first reaction was, I think I laughed. And did like one of those, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. And then it kind of went from there. And then we started talking about it and talking about, you know, the concerts we went to when we were younger, and just kind of started bringing back all these memories that we had. And then I think we decided, okay, well, since you came to Vegas, then if they have a show in Minneapolis, we'll go to one show. We'll go to one concert. I'll fly out there. We'll go. It'll be fun to see them again. We'll just do one, and then it'll be, you know, one and done. No big deal.
Exactly, yes.
Boy. Let me just say that was in 2008 when we went to our first concert, and it has not stopped. For me, anyway. I know that it slowed down for you, but for me, it has. I have seen at least 2 shows every tour that they've done. I've been on the cruise. I've gone to Minneapolis. Did I go twice? Twice.
Yep,
Minneapolis twice. Chicago, Florida for the cruise. California once. Vegas twice. Phoenix every time they've been here. So when I say small obsession, I'm being sarcastic, obviously, because it's not small.
Nope.
It's pretty big. Pretty big.
So, do you remember that very, very first... Okay, so when they reunited in 2008. And like you said, of course, we were in Vegas. And so that year, I had been living in Minnesota. I had just moved here a couple years before that. I moved here in 2006. Yep. So in 2008, right before the announcement or whatever, you and I had planned the trip, and I remember telling my husband, okay, so I'm gonna go to Vegas, and we're gonna go in April, which I think is when we actually went to Vegas. So then we heard about the reunion tour, and they were going to be in Minneapolis in October. And I remember thinking, how am I going to pull off another trip in October? One concert, though, that's exactly my plan. One concert will be good. Oh my gosh, boy, did that ever backfire on me. But, you know, the whole planning, that was my favorite part. The planning of that very first show. Do you remember sitting there every night leading up until, you know, we had this whole plan going, and every night we were on the phone talking about what we're going to do and how we're going to, you know, the little things that we figured out, the website that we finally got. I think that's what really started the ball rolling as far as sucking me back in, so to speak. I mean, I hadn't listened to them in a really long time because me neither. You know, I knew all their songs by heart. We both did. I mean, we did everything together as far as they went when we were kids, and so that ship pretty much has sailed. So then when they did announce that they were going to have the reunion tour, those phone calls every single night. I mean, I can remember it like it was yesterday.
It was definitely, I think, the community board that they had at the time.
Yep.
Where you could go on, and it was kind of like a MySpace for New Kids on the Block.
Yep.
You could make a page, and you could put backgrounds on it. Everybody had their favorite new kid. You could go in and chat with people, and, you know, there was a Donnie girl page, there was a Jordan girl page, a Joey girl page. Like, you could go in just about any topic referring to the guys in this forum that they had. And I think I spent a lot of time in that thing.
I did too.
Just talking to people and, you know, looking at old photos, and then when they started doing, like, when they went on the Today Show, I think in, like, May.
Yeah.
Then, and that was the first time we saw them all back together dancing, whatever. That was it. I was done. Like, that sucked me in. I was like, okay, I'm in this for the long haul because fucking Donnie Wahlberg is the sexiest thing on the earth.
Right.
So, I'll watch him all day, every day. And I was sucked in at that point. Like, it was over for me at that point.
So my big thing was, once we got on the message boards and we started meeting different people that were from, you know, just different people. Obviously, everybody shared the same interests. We were there because New Kids on the Block. I mean, oh my gosh, it was New Kids on the Block. But running in or meeting the people on the board that I could relate to, and, you know, I remember meeting Janelle and Stacy on that board, and I mean, instant friendship. It was things that we could talk to them about, and it didn't seem silly because they were talking about the same thing. They were best friends since high school. They were, You know, they had, it was like our situation in another, you know, listening to somebody else tell the same story that we had. So meeting them, and that's how I think, I want to say it was through them that I found out, or that we found out about the meet and greet. And that whole conversation, like, we had already planned on going. We had the tickets. It was then, wait a minute, there's an opportunity to meet them? You mean we're going to meet them?
Hold up a second. Yeah.
Back the truck up. So I remember saying, we should see if we can do this. But, we had to get it through our husbands first. And that was like, they aren't going to understand. They have no idea, like, what this means to us. So I can remember, because at the time I was working from home, writing that note to my husband and saying, okay, this is what I found. This is how much it is. Please, 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 please. Like, I'm pleading with him. And I left it on a note before he went to work. And the message go ahead.
I remember asking my husband at the time, like, this is what I want to do. And I can remember the look on his face. In fact, my almost 14-year-old gives me that same look most of the time. But it was just like this look of, why would you want to do that? And you want to spend my money to do that?
Right.
Wait a minute. What? It's like asking a poor man for a Lamborghini is kind of the look that he gave me.
Right, right.
You are out of your mind. But to us, it was like, but you don't understand. We get to meet them, like physically be standing in the same room with them.
Yes.
Which we never were able to do when we were younger.
Nope.
And 15 years later, they're even hotter than they were back then. So it's like, no, I have to do this. This is something I need to do. Like, it was that type of, we're going to do this. And, like meeting Janelle and Stacy, we'd never met them before. We just talked to them. I think you started talking to Janelle first.
Yep.
And then you started talking about the Minneapolis show. And then the next thing I know, you're asking me, do you want to share a room with them? I'm like, all right. Like, I think that's one of the best things about, we'll call it the New Kids community, because it really kind of is. The best thing about it, especially when this all first started, was there was no fear. Like, there was no fear of, I'm in a room with two people that I absolutely do not know.
Yep.
I have never met them. I don't know what kind of people they are. They could be axe murderers. They could be serial killers. We don't know. But it was nothing that we ever thought about. It was, you love New Kids. We love New Kids. All right, let's do it. Let's go. And we roomed with them in Minneapolis, and we have been friends with them for 10 years. We still talk, not on a regular basis, which that's hard to do these days, but we still, are friends with those two, and that's the one thing I can say I love the most about this whole New Kids experience is, one, something that I got to share a lot of it with you, and two, I've met some wonderful people through all of this, and I had experience with different people and met it's just been great. So I could go on and on and on. Let's get back on task. We'll talk about our very first meet and greet in October of 2008 in Minneapolis. I think it would be kind of cool to treat it like we did our fight in last episode, and you give your perspective on how the whole night went, and then I'll give mine, because I know that it was two totally different experiences, even though we were there together.
Yep.
I think the whole night was just a different experience for the both of us, because a lot happened. It was probably one of the best nights of my life.
Yep. Because
of things that happened that night. So I think it would be really cool to just kind of see both sides of the experience. So you go first.
Okay, so that night, Okay, I'm just going to start from where we actually got there to meet them. I mean, we had already met Janelle and Stacy, and we had stalked them all morning, and the buses and stuff, and it kind of opened your eyes to, like, that wasn't something that you and I did a lot when we were younger. I mean, to me, when we were younger, it never occurred to me, let's find their buses. It just, okay, we're going to the concert.
They went home.
Yeah. So meeting Janelle and Stacy was like the next level, because they did do that, and it that wasn't something that had ever, anyway. So
that's why it was called Stalkerfest.
Yes, that's why it was called.
Really good at it.
Yes, they were very good at it. Props to them. They taught us a lot.
Yes.
So, okay, so my experience, I can remember going into the room where all of the VIP was, you know, everybody who had the VIP tickets, and they were all doing the 5-star meet and greet. And I can remember sitting in that room and listening to all of the chatter and taking it all in, and everybody was talking, and before anybody went in to meet them. And they had given us our letters or numbers or whatever. They did it alphabetically or whatever. And I remember that ours was A. We were the very first group to go in. So from that perspective, we went in, and it was so, the experience was so rushed that I felt like as much as I enjoyed every single second of it, it was almost to the point where I would have given anything to just stop time for a second so I could take it all in. But I remember...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, so I walked in, and I think I got Donnie... I got Donnie in my sights first, and I ran up, or somebody had already given him a hug, because, you know, groups of 10 is all they had. Yeah. So we get in there, and somebody had walked up and given him a hug or whatever, and then I got to give him, he gave me like the biggest and best hug, and then he gave me a kiss on my mouth, and it was so just, like, it was like that whole surreal moment where you're like, in shock, and then they start pushing and rushing their, you know, whatever they are, their team of people that are in charge of taking the pictures, so they're rushing you around. Well, I had on a shirt that said, when they reunited, Donnie's biggest thing was FaceTime, you know. So my shirt said, FaceTime will make my mind right. And that, whatever Donnie used to say, get your mind right, and he would say FaceTime. So that's what my shirt, it was like a play on words, whatever. So
yeah,
when I but I got to go around and give everybody a hug, say hi to everybody, get like a second to say hi. And then I got to Joey, and he grabbed both my arms, and he pulled them kind of out to the side so he could read my shirt. And then he pulled me in, and he gave me a hug, and then at this point, I didn't know what anybody else was doing, but that was my moment. So we all got, you know, they just told us all, let's take the picture or whatever. So we all scrambled to go stand. I stood by Danny, and I stood there, and they took our picture really quick, and then they rushed us all out. And the one thing that I remember most is before going in there was a lot of talk and a lot of chatter and just conversation everywhere. And since we were the first ones to go in and come out, I had the opportunity to watch everybody go in and come out. So you could see, like, you could hear them all being very, you know, everybody was noisy and loud and whatever. And slowly, every group that came out, it just got more and more quiet, and it was surreal. And I can remember becoming very overwhelmed with emotion. I started crying, and I was very just overwhelmed with emotion. And I remember thinking that this experience was something that I will never, ever forget. And I got to experience it with you, which was such a great thing for me. It was so great to, so that was my experience, you know, of the actual meet and greet. And then the concert was just phenomenal. I was beyond words with it. What about you?
My take or what I remember on this, and I remember it so vividly, and I remember so much more. Like, there's a lot that I remember that I don't know if you did or you just don't remember right now, but you'll remember when I tell you. So I remember being in the room, and we were sitting at a table, and we were all just kind of talking, and I could hear everybody in the background. We were all excited. People were getting drinks, and, you know, we were just laughing and having a good time, and everybody, you know, it was just a room full of happiness, really, is what I remember it being. And I remember just sitting there, and everybody was talking. I wasn't really talking to anybody, but I was just watching. I was just watching people. I was watching you and Janelle and Stacy and some other girls that were in our group. And at one point, I got a call from my mom. My mom had called.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
You know my relationship with my mom. We're very close. And I think I had been sitting there just kind of reflecting on everything, thinking, this is a full moment circle with Chris. And, you know, we did this back then, and now here we are doing it again. Like you said, you had just moved. It was kind of still, you know, raw. And my mom called, and we talked for a few seconds. And as soon as I hung up the phone with her, I was crying. Like, I was just, like you, I was overcome with just emotion. And I remember sitting there, and you turned around and looked at me, and you went, oh my God, why are you crying? Like, you had no idea. I don't even think you knew that I had been on the phone. And I just was like, you thought something was wrong. You're like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? What's going on? I was like, nothing. It's just the moment. It's just that we're here and we're doing this and all that. So I had to compose myself and get myself together, because they were starting to call groups. And like you said, we were the first group going in. And so I remember them saying, Group A, line up by the door. And I think you were the first one in the room. I think you were the first one to walk in. You were in the front of the line, and I was standing behind you. And I remember having my hands on your shoulder.
Yes.
And I had my head down. Like, I don't know if it was I was scared to death or I was excited to death. Like, I don't know what, but I just was like, oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, this is happening.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. And my experience in the room was surreal, to say the least. It's like, it's going to sound silly to everybody that's listening that does not understand
they're New Kids fans. Yes, unless they're fans.
Yeah. So I remember walking in the room, and from the moment we walked in the room, I don't remember where you were, you were standing, what you were doing. Anybody for that matter.
Yep.
I remember walking up to John, and I gave him a hug, and I said, how are you feeling? Because they had been doing back-to-back shows before our show. I said, how are you feeling? And that was a very casual conversation, because I'm not in awe of him as much as the other guys.
Yep.
And then I think I hugged Jordan and maybe said a few words to him. I don't know. But then I turned around, and Donnie was standing right there. And I swear to God, it was like the movies where they show, like, everything in the room goes dark, and it's just you and that person, and there's that music playing. Like, it was, for me, one of those moments. Like, I just looked at him, he locked eyes with me, and it was just, oh my God. And I went in and gave him a hug, and I hugged him around the waist, not like above the shoulders, but around the waist, and I had my head on his chest.
Right.
And I remember, I thought that I had said it to myself, but apparently I didn't, because I said, oh God, here come the tears. And he, like, pushed me up to where he could see me, and he goes, why are you crying? And I don't remember what I said to him, if I could say anything, because Donnie's the only one that just makes me all tongue-tied and I can't think straight.
Right.
But I do remember looking at him and saying, can I have a kiss? And he kissed me, and then I walked away. Okay, explain something to me. Who in their right mind gets kissed by Donnie Wahlberg and then walks away? Me. That's what I did. Well, he kissed me, and then I just turned around and walked away. Like, okay, no big deal.
I think that's why I asked for one, because somebody else asked for one and got it, and I was like,
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm going to get one of those. And then I remember walking over. I didn't hug Joey. I don't remember him until close to the end. And then I walked over to Danny, and I'm not a big Danny fan. Anybody who knows me, I'm not a big Danny fan. I just walked over, gave him a hug, and then I think I rubbed his muscles or something. I don't remember what I did. I was still kind of in my Donnie fog. But then we get ready to take the picture, and I was supposed to stand next to Donnie. Yeah. But when I got over to Donnie, both sides of him were already taken. So I'm trying to, like, position myself kind of in front of him, and I feel somebody touch my arm. And I look over, and Joey McIntyre with his baby blues are looking at me in the face. Man. And he goes, yeah. He's like, do you want to do a front row with me? Well, yes, I do. Yeah. I think I just kind of did one of those, And in the picture, I'm kneeling down with him, and my hand is on his thigh. Yep. And that was the first picture that we took with them. And I remember walking out, and I think I was walking behind you, or at least it might have been you, I don't know. And I just remember walking out, and I said, I kissed Donnie Wahlberg. Like, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth, was I kissed Donnie Wahlberg. And I remember hearing a girl going, oh, God. You know, whatever. You probably aren't going to get one, so whatever. Yeah, right? But that was the first time we met them, and it was one of the best experiences and something I will never, ever forget. And, I mean, it just was... I can remember it like it happened yesterday. Like it was just so... Oh, and I had my shirt that said... what did my shirt say? I'm a big girl now, or something. Something, yeah. It was part of one of their songs. It was one of their songs. And I don't remember what it was, but I remember you. What I do remember is that you made sure that Donnie saw my shirt. When I walked away from him, you went, Donnie, look at her shirt. And he looked at it, and I looked at him, and he went, I love it. I remember that. I think that was the only time I even knew you were in the room. Right. Or anybody else. I don't remember what Janelle and Stacy were doing. I don't remember what the other girls... I don't remember anybody else in that room but me and, well, Donnie and Joey. Like, those were the two I remember the most because I had encounters with them. But, oh, my God, what an experience. And then the concert... So, we decided the night before the concert, the four of us, that we were going to make signs to take to the concert. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in the hotel room, and everybody had an idea for their poster, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And it was an election year. It was 2008. It was the first year President Obama was going to be elected. And I thought, well, since it's an election year, and Donnie had been very vocal about the presidency and who he was going to vote for. So I was like, I'll just do Donnie for president. And that's what I did. And I remember in the concert, CoverGirl came on. And CoverGirl's one of my favorite songs. I remember giving you my camera because I didn't want to have anything in my hands. It was CoverGirl. I wanted to listen. I wanted to watch. I didn't want to have anything. And I had my sign. And at one point during the song, I held up the sign. And he saw it. And he was like, motioned for me to bring it up to the stage. Yep, I remember. I remember you saying, he wants you to take it up there. And I was like, no, he doesn't. Like, I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Yep, he pointed. Like, no, you said he pointed at it, wants you to bring it up to the stage. And I was like, really? And then I held it up again, and he said it, and then I saw him motion for it and, like, come up to the stage or whatever. And I tried to get over there. I remember walking to the end of the aisle. I remember trying to walk up, and then the stupid freaking security guard wouldn't let me go up to the stage. And I said, all I want to do is take this up to Donnie. He wants this sign. And she was like, no, you can't go up there. Well, I guess some girl, and to this day I don't know who it was, She heard me, and she grabbed my sign out of my hand, and during the last song of the concert, got it up to Donnie, and he held it up on the stage. That, I just got goosebumps just talking about it. Like, that was the best night of, I mean, that whole experience, just the best night of my life. I was like, he held, oh my gosh, I was just, yeah.
And so do you,
right now.
Do you remember when you had your sign, I had my sign, everybody had, you know, we weren't seated with Janelle and Stacey, we got tickets, and we were in the same area, but not seated next to them. But do you remember when, I think it was when he first motioned that he wanted it up, I said, hold up your sign and I'll take a picture. So that we had proof that you made that sign, and then it wound up on the stage. So it was one of those moments that was just like, it was, everything about that night was so surreal, so unreal, and it was like nostalgic. It was magical.
Yeah.
It was, and from that moment on, that, you know, from the very beginning until now, it truly has been that whole, we're reliving our youth. And so that we'll just one and done, there was no way either one of us could have done that. So yeah, it was crazy, and it was awesome, and I would absolutely 100% do it again.
Oh my gosh. I would do it again and again and again, over and over again. Like, this whole roller coaster of all of this it has never gone away from me. Like, I did the cruise with Janelle and Stacey, and you did the cruise with Janelle.
Yep.
And I can remember sitting at my table. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. My kids would be sleeping, and all I would do was sit at the table and watch videos of the shows. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, I was upset. I was obsessed. I was engulfed. It was making me happy. And I think that might have been a little bit of why my marriage kind of went to the crapper. But if that is the case, then that's fine. Like you said, I have no regrets. I would do this over and over again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
They have brought more people into my life. It is definitely my happy place. If I'm having a bad day or I feel down, I put on music and I can remember where I was or what I was doing during this song or what we were doing during the song, and it just brings me back to a happy place.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not embarrassed. I love New Kids on the Block. I will love them forever and ever, ever. And we'll have more episodes of a lot of other things that we've done with them, because it's been a long journey and there's a lot of really great stories to tell.
Right.
But
I do think it's something that we should have mentioned earlier. When we met Janelle and Stacey, we also got to meet two other girls, Chris and Jerry, who were also best friends. And we didn't talk about them much, but we have managed to stay friends with these people, and that's the best part. I mean, I love them. I love the New Kids on the Block. I'm the only one in my family of 6 that does, but for me, it's my thing. And although I don't do everything as much as I used to do it when they reunited, I'm not doing as much now, it's still my thing. It's, you know, that won't ever be taken away from me. I may not do everything, whether it be because I can't or I don't want to or whatever the case may be. There will always be a special place in my heart, and especially for the friends that we've met. Stacey and Janelle and Chris and Jerry and the countless other people, Becca, and, you know, everybody that we've met through this whole experience has been fantastic.
Well, and so, you know, I have another friend who, you know, we found out when we were both working at the same place that she found out that I was a New Kids fan and that I had gone on the cruise, and it was instant friendship. And I have gone to many concerts with her and had many experiences with her, and I've already told her that when we start getting down closer to that part of when she came into the picture and started doing things with me, I was like, you're going to come down here and you're going to be a guest on this podcast because I want you to tell your story and your experience. And you know, I welcome Janelle, Stacy, Chris, anybody in our new kids family who want to come on and talk about their experiences. I welcome it because it's a fantastic thing and it's brought joy and happiness, and it never hurts to get a picture of Donnie when you're having a bad day, or Joey when you're having a bad day, or Jordan, you know, a shirtless picture of any of them.
Right?
Never hurts. It makes the day better. It makes the day brighter. So that's our first experience with our guys. That's what we like to call them. Everybody knows who we're talking about when we say the guys or our guys.
Or when we're referred to as blockheads.
Yeah, blockheads, you know, Million Sisters, and, you know, so many other things. But there'll be a lot of other stories that we'll talk about. So,
lots of time.
I think let's go ahead and share our positive thing for the week, and we'll call it a night because we've been going on and on for a while about new kids. So we probably should stop talking about them now.
At least for tonight. So if you're still hanging in with us, I would like to share my positive experience for the week would be my youngest daughter, she just turned 14. She is about 2 weeks older than Van's son, who's about to turn 14. She's in dance class, and she is going to be doing a solo in their showcase coming up. First time ever.
That's fantastic.
She's kind of a shy girl, and I guess it doesn't hurt to mention that my little basketball player that I talked about last week, my youngest son, he made 2 shots in a game and got 2 baskets, so 4 points, and he was overjoyed with that.
I bet.
My 17-year-old took a girl that he likes in the last couple of weeks. We went down sledding, and he took her to one of the dances, and that was fun. And to top it all off, my National Guard soldier passed her PT test, and she got a promotion and was promoted to specialist from private.
Awesome.
So all 4 of my kids have done something.
Things happening in your family.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So do tell. What's yours?
Well, my positive is also about my kid. Well, one of my kids. My almost 14-year-old, Nathan. My sister, my half-sister, she is a theater major. She's been very involved with a community theater out in Maricopa, which is a city out here. And she had asked my son if he wanted to go and try out for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because that's the next show that they're going to do. And he's been in drama this year, and so he was like, you know, nonchalant Nathan. He's like, okay, I'll try. So
whatever.
Last week, whatever, Last week he went and did an audition on Tuesday, got a call back for Thursday, and he ended up getting cast as a narrator. He's going to be playing 2 of the parents, so he'll be doing 3 different parts in the play.
Excellent.
And I think I'm more excited than he is.
Right.
I'm very excited for him. I'm so incredibly proud of him. And I'm hoping that this will just be something that he will enjoy and remember and cherish and maybe want to do it again. And
that would be great.
Now my sister's trying to recruit my younger one to be in Aladdin this summer. So I might have 2 Broadway stars in my house. Who knows?
You know what? It sure is better than them just hanging out doing nothing at all. So that's great.
Yeah.
I love stories about our kids, especially when they're doing positive, great things. That's so neat.
Yeah, it makes it kind of all the ups and downs, it makes it a little bit more bearable when you have good things going on. So.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
So I guess that will be it for episode 4. And next week, I think we're going to dabble a little bit in marriage and divorce and dating.
Dum, dum, dum.
A lot of I know. That's definitely appropriate because dating sucks. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Dating sucks. I don't like it. I don't do a lot of it. But, you've been married for what, 17 years?
Almost 18.
Years?
Almost 18
years. I've been divorced for 8 this year. I know. So we have different stories, different outlooks, and I think it'll be a good topic and maybe one that everybody will really enjoy. So, as always, Chris, it was good to chat and talk about one of our favorite things in the world, and we will see everybody in the next episode.
You guys all have a great night. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye.